Hello, my friends. Today I will tell you the amazing story of Cleopatra, the last queen of ancient Egypt. This is not just boring history. It feels like a movie full of drama, love, and power. Cleopatra is one of the most famous women ever. Her life was exciting and full of surprises. So sit back, relax, and listen to this story. It is also great for your English practice. I promise you will enjoy it. Chapter 1. Cleopatra's Early Life. More than 2,000 years ago, in 69 BCE, a baby girl was born in Alexandria, Egypt. Her name was Cleopatra VII. She would later become a queen like no other. But before that, she was only a little girl with many dreams. Cleopatra came from the Ptolemaic dynasty, a royal family that ruled Egypt. But this family was not originally Egyptian. They came from Greece. Their ancestor, Ptolemy I, a general of Alexander the Great, became king of Egypt after Alexander died. So Cleopatra's family was half Greek, half Egyptian. Her father was King Ptolemy XII. Her mother may have been Cleopatra V, but no one is fully sure. Cleopatra grew up in a big palace with wealth, servants, and the best teachers. But royal life was also full of danger. Family members often fought each other to be king or queen. From a young age, Cleopatra learned that knowledge is power. While most women of her time did not study, she learned many things. Cleopatra studied hard. She spoke Greek, Latin, Egyptian, and even Hebrew. Some say she spoke at least 7 languages. This was very rare and gave her a big advantage. She also loved learning about science, math, literature, and politics. Cleopatra wanted to be more than just a queen with pretty clothes. She wanted to be smart, wise, and powerful. But she also had charm. People said her voice was so beautiful that it could win hearts. But her childhood was not always happy. Her father was weak and not a strong king. People thought he wasted money. Sometimes the family had to escape Egypt for safety. Cleopatra quickly learned that rulers always had enemies. When she was around 14, her life changed. Her mother disappeared. Maybe she died, maybe she was killed. Soon, her father also became sick. Cleopatra was still a teenager, but she knew she must fight for the throne. What made Cleopatra special was her love for Egypt. Even though her family was Greek, she respected Egyptian culture. She was the first of her dynasty to learn the Egyptian language. She also showed herself as the goddess Isis, who was very important in Egyptian religion. By the time Cleopatra became a young woman, she was ready to rule. But it would not be easy. She had enemies in her own family and outside of it. She would need to be brave, clever, and strong. And so her story truly begins. Chapter 2. Cleopatra becomes queen. Cleopatra was no normal girl. From birth, her future was to rule. But the path to the throne was full of danger and betrayal. When Cleopatra was 18, her father died. In his will, he said Cleopatra must share the throne with her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII, who was only 10. In ancient Egypt, it was common for siblings to rule together. But Cleopatra did not want to share. She was smarter and more prepared. She had studied languages and politics, but her brother was still a child. She believed she must lead Egypt herself. At first, she tried to work with him, but soon her brother's advisors plotted against her. They did not want a strong woman on the throne. They wanted young Ptolemy because he was easy to control. Soon, Cleopatra's life was in danger. She was forced to leave the palace and escape into the desert. Imagine Cleopatra, the real queen, wandering through the hot sand with only a few loyal helpers. She had no home, no army, and no throne. But Cleopatra never gave up. In exile, she made a plan. She needed powerful help. At that time, a great Roman general, Julius Caesar, came to Egypt. Caesar was famous everywhere. Cleopatra saw her chance. But how could she meet him? She could not simply walk into the palace. So she created a clever idea. One night, she rolled herself inside a carpet and had a servant deliver it to Caesar as a gift. When the carpet was unrolled, Cleopatra appeared, young, beautiful, and full of confidence. Caesar was shocked and impressed. Cleopatra spoke with charm and intelligence. She told him her troubles and her love for Egypt. Caesar admired her bravery and agreed to help her take back the throne. Together, Cleopatra and Caesar fought against Ptolemy XIII and his allies. After a strong battle, her brother was defeated. Cleopatra became queen of Egypt again. But Cleopatra wanted more than just power. She wanted Egypt to be strong and respected. With Caesar's support, she improved trade, created new laws, and built closer ties with Rome. Chapter 3. Cleopatra and Julius Caesar. Cleopatra was queen, but her life stayed dangerous. She worked with Caesar, but their story was about more than politics. It was also about love and ambition. After the battle, Cleopatra ruled with Caesar's help. She admired his power and wisdom. Caesar admired her charm and clever mind. Even though Caesar was 52 and Cleopatra only 21, their bond was strong. Cleopatra invited Caesar to stay in Egypt. They traveled together, sailed the Nile, and dreamed about the future. In 47 BCE, Cleopatra gave birth to a son, Caesarion, meaning Little Caesar. She hoped he would one day unite Egypt and Rome. But their love story caused problems. In Rome, many people disliked Cleopatra. They said she was dangerous and wanted control of Caesar. Some even called her a witch. Caesar returned to Rome, but he invited Cleopatra and Caesarion to join him. She traveled in style, with golden chariots, exotic animals, and servants. Rome had never seen anything like it. Cleopatra stayed in a villa Caesar gave her. She attended feasts, met leaders, and even influenced Roman fashion. But many Romans hated her. In 44 BCE, tragedy struck. Caesar was killed by senators who feared he was too powerful. He was stabbed in the Senate, and Rome was shaken. Cleopatra was heartbroken. Without Caesar, she was in great danger in Rome. She quickly returned to Egypt with her son and treasures. Back home, Cleopatra stayed strong. She ruled with wisdom, built her army, and grew Egypt's economy. She also protected Caesarion and prepared him to be a leader. But she knew Rome was still powerful. Egypt would need new allies to survive. Cleopatra was ready for the next chapter of her dramatic life. Chapter 4. Cleopatra and Mark Antony. Cleopatra's life became even more dramatic after Julius Caesar's death. This part tells the story of her meeting with Mark Antony, one of Rome's strongest leaders, and how their love became one of the most famous in history. When Caesar died, Rome was full of fighting. Many men wanted power. 3 of them, Mark Antony, Octavian, Caesar's adopted son, and Lepidus, ruled Rome together. But they did not trust each other. Mark Antony was a brave soldier and leader. He was handsome, strong, and full of confidence. People liked him for his charm. He had heard about Cleopatra, the smart and beautiful queen of Egypt, but they had never met. At this time, Antony wanted Egypt's support because it was rich and powerful. Cleopatra also wanted to keep Egypt safe from Rome. She knew an alliance with Antony could help her. So Antony sent a message asking Cleopatra to meet him in Tarsus, in today's Turkey. Cleopatra saw this as her chance. She planned something special to impress him. She sailed into Tarsus on a golden ship with silver oars and purple sails. She dressed as the goddess Aphrodite, with her servants dressed as gods and goddesses. Perfume filled the air. Antony was amazed. He had never seen anyone like Cleopatra. She spoke with intelligence and confidence. He could not look away from her. That day began their famous relationship. Cleopatra invited Antony to Egypt, and he went. In Alexandria, they enjoyed big feasts, games, and music. Cleopatra showed him the beauty of her land and culture. They laughed, shared dreams, and grew close. Soon, Antony fell in love with Cleopatra, and she loved him too. Together, they dreamed of building a strong empire that joined Rome and Egypt. Antony needed Cleopatra's wealth for his armies, and Cleopatra needed Antony's strength to keep Egypt safe. They both gained from this partnership. They had 3 children, a son named Alexander Helios, a daughter named Cleopatra Selene, and another son named Ptolemy Philadelphus. Cleopatra was proud of her children and believed they would one day rule a great empire. But not everyone liked their love. In Rome, many were angry. Octavian especially hated Cleopatra. He spread lies, saying she had controlled Antony with her beauty. Antony's marriage also became a problem. He was married to Octavian's sister, Octavia, but chose Cleopatra instead. This broke the trust between Antony and Octavian. Their rivalry grew into war. Octavian declared Cleopatra and Antony enemies of Rome. He prepared his army to fight them. Cleopatra and Antony knew a great battle was coming. Chapter 5. The Fall of Cleopatra and Mark Antony. Cleopatra and Antony prepared to fight for their love and their kingdoms. They stood together, ready to risk everything. But their last chapter was full of betrayal, sadness, and courage. Octavian wanted to end their power and take Egypt. His army was well-trained and ready for war. Cleopatra and Antony, however, refused to surrender. They planned to fight by sea. In 31 BCE, the Battle of Actium began near Greece. Cleopatra brought her ships, and Antony brought his Roman forces. They hoped to win together. The sea was filled with ships and soldiers, but Octavian's army was stronger. In the middle of the battle, Cleopatra's ship suddenly sailed away. Some say she wanted to protect her ships, but Antony thought she had betrayed him. Heartbroken, Antony's army broke apart. Octavian won the battle. Antony, confused and in pain, returned to Egypt to face Cleopatra. Cleopatra told him she had not betrayed him. She only wanted to save their lives. Antony believed her, and they stayed strong together. But they knew Octavian would soon attack Egypt. They tried one last time to protect Alexandria, but they had no chance. Antony fought bravely, but his army lost. Believing Cleopatra was dead, Antony stabbed himself with his sword. Before he died, servants told him Cleopatra was still alive. They carried him to her, and he died in her arms. It was a sad and powerful moment. Cleopatra was heartbroken. She knew Octavian would soon capture her, but she refused to be shown in Rome as a prisoner. She wanted to die with dignity, like a queen. She dressed in her royal clothes and crown. She surrounded herself with treasures. According to legend, she let a poisonous snake bite her, ending her life by her own choice. When Octavian entered, he found Cleopatra dead. He was surprised, but also respected her bravery. With her death, Egypt became part of Rome. But Cleopatra's story lived on. She was remembered not just as a queen, but as a symbol of courage, intelligence, and strength. Her life teaches us to be strong, even in hard times. She showed the world that women can be leaders, thinkers, and fighters. Cleopatra's life ended in tragedy, but her spirit remained. She reminds us to never give up, to face life with bravery, and to take control of our destiny. So, my friends, let her story inspire you. Be bold, be fearless, and live with courage. Cleopatra was unforgettable, and her story will never die.